Thank you for watching this Fringe Academy recording. You can view all videos and resources from past Fringe Academies on the Fringe Academy resources page of our website. You can also book free tickets for any upcoming Fringe Academies by going to the What's On section. Enjoy!
I'm Alice. I am the project lead for the Young Reviewers Brighton project. That's part of Voice, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. I'm really keen to sort of just get stuck in and get to know all of you. I know some of you did join for the separate kind of skills development project that's happening inside of what we're going to do at the Fringe, but I think there might be, I'm not sure if Grace, if we've met before, so what I want to do is just go round, and I'll go round in like the orders of that, where the tiles appear on my screen, and I just want you to say like who you are and where you're from, and then like 3 points of interests, particularly anything kind of arts or cultural. So I will start with let's go my top left, which is Elsa.
Hello. So sorry, do you mind repeating that? Who I am and what my interests are?
Yeah, who you are, where you're from, and 3 things of like that you're interested in with like arts and cultural stuff.
Okay, so I'm Elsa. I'm from Brighton, and I have an interest. I work in radio a bit and I work in print. So like for me, where those 2 kind of hit is what I really enjoy. I just did a film, so I'm really interested in film. And yeah, I'm really, I don't know, 3 things. Okay. I like AI stuff and like virtual reality stuff, audio stuff, and yeah, print and what's connected to that. So print, I like looking through brochures and stuff and magazines, that kind of thing. I really like.
Nice. Okay, thank you. Grace, let's go to you next.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, I couldn't get my camera working before. I've just worked it out. Don't know if this is working now, even. Yeah, I am interested in poetry and film and art and music. I love reviewing stuff, but want more experience. And I work for the uni magazine, so I just want to get better.
You work for what uni are you at?
Manchester.
Lovely, thank you. Your connection's a little bit choppy, but I got the gist of it, so thank you. Lucy, you're up.
I'm Lucy, I'm from Brighton, and I'm interested in film, and I'm a film student, so obviously I'm interested in film, and performance and music, and kind of how music as well can be used in like both those things, and like what else I was saying with like sound and audio, like that as well, I guess.
Lovely, thank you. And Augusto.
Oh yeah, Augusto, and I'm an actor and an improviser as well. Amateur yet, and I'm from Brazil. My interests are in music and films and history.
Lovely, thank you. Was it where is it? Is it like about 10 a.m. with you in the morning?
Yes, 10 a.m.
Nice. Have you got a coffee on the go?
Yeah, so
just a little bit about this session then. I have a plan. Before we run through what we're going to do today, I will provide like chances for us to have a little break if needed, maybe kind of like a couple of minutes here and there. We can all mute and just go off screen and just walk around for a bit, because it's about nigh on 2 hours, and that's a long time to be sitting down in front of a screen. And also, I just wanted to ask, because I'm going to be sharing with you like some website links, a bit like what we did last week, when I'll just like refresh, what Voice magazine is, and then the content that we're going to look at today. Are you all right with me just posting links up through the Zoom group, and then you sort of like clicking on them to watch them yourself, or do you want Cameron to do very fancy things with screen sharing and all of that? What would make more sense?
The links is fine, that works for me.
Links?
Yeah, it's all good for me.
Okay. One thing I am thinking is, if this is being, I know this is being recorded, do you need to screen share it, Cameron, so it comes up as part of the recording?
I think if we, I can save the chat logs and put them with the video, and so I think it should all be fine,
Okay.
just like that. But yeah.
Okay, great, cool, okie dokie, cool. So that's that. Okay, so Voice magazine, what is it? So yeah, this will be, we kind of ran through a little bit of this last week as well, so I am just going to share, but as not all of you might have seen it, and for people that might be watching this at a later stage, here is the chat box. So I'll pop it, you should just get like a little pop-up thing from me now. Here is a link for the Voice Mag website, and this is an online magazine that is made by young people, and it is for young people to get together and share their experiences, their interests, and anything related to arts or cultural activity. And that's what we started it for, and that is what it still is. And it has just grown and grown. I think last year there was nearly like 500,000 hits to the website. I think it was somewhere in the ballpark between 250 and 500,000. Sorry, I haven't got more. Like, my manager's going to kill me. So if you just have a little click on there and have a look through, you'll see some of the headlines that jump out of you, and get a feel for how the website looks, its format. We've got things just signposting you to all posts on careers. There's local listings, there's how-tos, there's media, there's news, opinions, resources, and themes. It's essentially a little kind of one-stop shop for points of interest in our lives and things that we are doing or that we want to share our thoughts and feelings about. And we use Voice to do it in a kind of like safe and supported way. It is very much, it's like a membership, like subscription basis thing. So you're a reviewer, a contributor, and you have your own kind of like profile. It is completely free to use. There's no cost involved in being a member. And often there are projects like the Brighton Fringe one that I'm doing, or other things that you can get involved with if you are interested in sort of like furthering your writing and your engagement with the arts. And that's why I think it's just like, that's our values really. It's just like we care about each other and we care about what you have to say and where you want to go with it, because it might have been something that we wouldn't have thought about. So the wider it grows, the more that we understand and appreciate each other. And it just kind of builds on from there really. So at no point do you have to feel like you have to like watch me on the screen if you want to just kind of like mess around on the Voice website and click on things and have a look. Please, this is your time. Just be as dynamic as you need to be. So that is Voice, and I started out as a contributor, and I was writing some things as part of a different project which is to do with Arts Award. That's very, very different. And then I became more of a practitioner, and I wanted to work with others and run projects on how, being part of Voice, and facilitate just opportunities for myself as a young person myself, and then as I got older, for other young people to engage more with the arts and feel like it's something that they are a part of. So that's a little bit about my background and involvement with Voice. So this session is going to be quite interactive, and it'll be a chance for us to just watch some content and then have a good discussion about it, and then we'll look at some reviewer skills, and then just like the bones of what you might need to think about if you are a young journalist going out and about and doing things in like the real world or digital content online. So with that being said, here is the Brighton Fringe website. Everyone just wants to have a look at that. And this is Petrichor. They are performing at Fringe this year. And I was just, browsing on the website, seeing what's been going on, because every day it's so exciting. I'm seeing more and more things just kind of being posted, and this is available, and book onto this and all this. So I came across Petrichor, and they're a kind of, I don't really want to say too much about them because I want us to find out. So what I want us to do, just throwing you straight in there, is watch how long is it? It's like a minute long video, so you might all want to mute your computers or whatever, just mute Zoom, watch it, and then come back together and we'll just discuss what we've just watched and what kind of things have been evoked, or just where we're at. So just take a minute or so now. I'm going to mute myself and give it a watch, and then we'll all get back together. So off we go. Has everyone had a chance to watch it? Elsa's nodding. Grace, Lucy, Augusto?
Yeah, I just finished it.
Amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
initial responses.
That looks sick.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
It just looks really cool. I know it's not very professional. I was just like, wow, that I would watch that.
You would watch it. Why?
Yeah. It looks very like political, but also fun, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very immersive, which is something I quite enjoy. Kind of attack like all senses, visual, audio, and I saw it's online, which is quite interesting, and saying how it's a theatre without a theatre, which is quite cool.
Cool. What else?
I just was saying that it's a contemporary art, maybe, I guess, not sure, but amazing how they dance and they do what they did with this movement, like Beck, and something quite different and very professional, as I think could say that it's professional.
What about you, Grace? Initial responses. She said, my Wi-Fi is terrible, but it reminds me of Black Mirror. Okay. Grace, feel free to keep typing in thoughts and responses into the chat, because we should be all able to see them. If not, I'll read them out anyway. So go for it. Okay, so initial responses. I've pulled out words like immersive, attacks the senses, political, fun, theatre without a theatre, it's different, very professional, reminding me of Black Mirror. So we're pulling out things and that looks sick, you know, that's kind of like that kind of, there's something kind of like, oh, it's like it's grabbed you in a way. So initial responses, if you need just a minute to go back to the clip and watch it again, feel free to do so, because because it is like it's a promo piece, so actually what there are in there are quotes from other like review sort of magazines and places. Maybe just have a go back and see what other people have written about it, and then tell me. There is one, I think it's the Guardian that's in there, so yeah, see if you can find that, see what's referenced. Let me know when you found it.
It's a very good sounding quote.
What does that mean?
A lot of big words.
Anyone else agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the things that jump out to me is VR, totalitarian, immersive, like all those things which are like exciting, progressive, advanced. Feels quite yeah, like Grace was saying, like Black Mirror, quite dystopian, which is, you know, what it's described as.
Okay. I read that quote and was like, what? I think it can give someone a window into the mind that has taken in the information. Something about who they are as writers. And that's why I think, you know, it's good to have like to form your own voice inside of that, because you'll communicate in a way that makes sense to you and hopefully by proxy to other people. But you're right, you're totally right. Like there are words there that actually you're taking in that short clip of what it is, and actually those descriptive words are matching what you are seeing. Like the thing of like, you know, the VI, then you're pulling up things like it's dystopian, but it is very wordy. So that is that. What else do we need to consider? Because we've had our initial responses, and we've had a lot of like juicy words come out of all of that. What else are you thinking about when you watch that clip? What else comes into your mind?
I think like the practicalities and like how they actually like put it on, how it's experienced digitally, is interesting to think. Yeah, the practical aspects and how they'd approach it. Yeah, that's how.
Is that to do with like the staging of it and like the process behind the piece?
Yeah, I think so. And the process and the like who's involved. I don't know. It's yeah, it's interesting because it's not quite straightforward how it is like being in a theatre without a theatre kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was guessing because it says VR, but obviously they're not going to expect people to have like VR headsets because that wouldn't be a thing. But then like I didn't know, it kind of looked like they were using like a 360 camera that maybe you could like, I've seen technology where you can like pan around, like drag the screen to kind of get like a view of everything. I don't know if that's what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. So it seems to be sparking some kind of, you're questioning, you know, the methods, and also thinking about, you know, what does that say about our expectations? What are we hoping it might be, or who they are as like a company? We have questions from Grace. Oh, interesting. Where is the viewer seated? Does the camera move with the viewer? And the medium, dance, theatre, or a hybrid? Ooh. I would encourage you, Grace, to expand on all of those things, the questions that you've asked, and about the art forms that you've tried to pull in. And actually that leads me to the point really is this kind of like we've kind of considered our initial responses to something and found words to describe what we have seen. We've actually looked a little bit, talked about going a little bit deeper as like, who are they, how are they doing this, you know? It's like building our sense of intrigue, and you can communicate that across in the way that you write about it. But let's think about, you know, what some of the real kind of like, what are the bones of the information that we need to be considering here as well? What would a reader need to know?
What to expect, how they can access it, I suppose. I don't know if it's something.
No, keep going with that. Expectations, how to access. Yep.
I think like the questions I have are like preemptive, like I want to know what to expect, whereas, and I suppose, yeah, how you can access it, what's best medium to access it, who wants to see it, who it's intended for, I think.
So these are all things as a reviewer you have to kind of put it in a box and kind of hold it somewhere in your mind. As much as you are experiencing something and telling other people about what you've witnessed or been a part of, we also need to be making sure that we are providing like the kind of baseline information. Essentially, if you have notes, feel free to take notes, like the who, what, when, why, how, is those kind of 5 things, like who are they as a company, what is it that you're seeing, where is it, how is always a bit like an interesting one. I think that's kind of like how you can lead into more of your discussion about what you're being a part of, what you're seeing. And then what was the last one? Can't even remember. the when, yeah, like timings, like is it scheduled, you know? So mostly you think of the Fringe provision, it's like a lot of it is, you know, booking at a particular time, or it's a digital thing. Doing a thing about reviews, and I'm saying words like things, sorry, that it's like you're saying kind of like, you know, giving the audience member like that expectation on when they should be sort of like signing in online, or they have to queue up outside in order to make the start of the show. You know, it's all these kind of very kind of like practical informations, but we'll cover that at a later stage. I now want to direct your into. So I think like you kind of, what I say, like you found the hook, you've seen something that you think, oh, I like the look of that, and obviously you would then be booking to attend and do the show that they have like promoted on the website. Obviously Fringe isn't live yet, so that's just like an inkling as to what could be. So it's to help build intrigue. So you could write a piece on by kind of like, you know, where are your expectations at the moment, by just, you know, doing kind of initial research. I then found this, there was directors, Johnny, I'm going to butcher their names, Riordan and Jess Williams. I think they're a Welsh company. They discuss creating theatre in virtual reality. So I'm just going to share this YouTube link. So same theatre company, just a little bit more information, and do the same as before. This is about 3.5 minutes. So mute yourself, turn the screen off if you want to. Just play it. watch it through, and then we're going to come back and talk about this new bit of information that you've just taken in. Okay, has everyone managed to watch the whole thing?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thoughts on the interview? What do you think?
Yeah, really interesting. Gives a lot more insight into their process and what they see or their vision was, or what they want people to experience directly. I think what really like stood out to me was when they were saying how it's the first of its kind, and that's always quite exciting when something hasn't been done before. So really original.
Cool. What else?
Fabulous. It's about the human connection, they said. Yeah, cool. All the process and the visual thing, film and theatre together. I mean, the visual.
I thought it was really interesting when they said about accessibility, because I remember we spoke about that last week and how like important that is to like art and culture, that it's more accessible. So this seems like it's kind of like heading in that direction, which is nice.
In what way? I like that the phrase of like it's heading in that direction. In what way is it heading in that direction?
I guess with like stuff like this, and like I think we've seen recently with more things being online, like the online space is much more accessible to people now. So like by having like the amount of people you'd be able to get into a theatre compared to how many people you can get to watch like an hour-long video is such grander. So yeah.
I agree with Lucy. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead, the floor is
Oh,
yours.
I know, I agree with Lucy, and I think even opportunities like this, like I wouldn't be able to access this in the middle of my day if I'd have to like go to a venue, and I have the luxury of being able to work from home most of the time and like fit my day around your projects like this, and it's like that's so unusual and something that you can fit to your schedule or mold into your day. It's much more mutable and shiftable.
It's something about them. I mean, it's kind of I'm feeling a lot of irony because I gave you this clip in order to get to know the company a little bit better as a kind of a learning point on how you might discover more information by doing a little bit more kind of research about them and getting to know their I don't know, like their styles and all that sort of stuff. But actually they've kind of thrown it back on us and said, we really know you, we know what you want, and we know what life is like for you, so we're going to make it even more like obtainable. Crafty. Yeah. Wow. Anyway. Have you learnt anything from watching this? Oh, I can just see, I know Lucy lit up and then you were muted. Sorry, my dear. Grace has posted saying, even the interview between the directors felt casual, sets a tone of the piece. It's an experience for all rather than one that is exclusive. Nice. I wonder if I can screenshot that. I like that. Sorry, yes, Lucy, did you have comments on what have you learnt?
Oh, I was just going to say on the YouTube page, it's got like, if you go in the about section, it says that they're like from Manchester, but they tour the UK.
Mm-hmm. Won that back. Cool. That was good. What was that point? You went where?
They're from Manchester and they tour the UK.
Where did you find that information?
Oh, just on the YouTube page, if you click on about.
Amazing.
And there's also a link to a website, which is also.
Mm-hmm. That is one of my learning points for later on this session, but hey, look at that. I kind of take home is kind of do a little bit of research, find out about them. We can chat about that in more detail a little bit on the line. Actually, no, let's talk about it now. How are you going to gain some insight into the piece that you're going to see, either from like a retrospective point of view after seeing the work and noting down like your responses and your thoughts and feelings about it, or beforehand? What could you do?
Google. Great.
Anything else? Would you perhaps buy a program if there is one? So you look up stuff online. Go on.
access, like send an email directly. Like sometimes it's quite good to get that kind of insight from someone directly.
You know what? Really good point. I actually did write it down. We're going to get onto that in the next bit as well. Sometimes it is worth like reaching out to the artists themselves. If they're able or willing to, you know, give you a couple of, you know, like sort of thoughts from, like, you know, the horse's mouth, as it were. That can often be a really good way, or just, you know, contacting if they've got like a, you know, like an info at or whatever, just saying, oh, I've got some questions or anything like, yeah. So actually reaching out directly is definitely one way of doing it. But otherwise, yeah, we're picking up a program at the event itself if there is one. We're looking online. We just talk to people, ask audience members, ask, you know, people around.
Lots of companies as well are becoming very good at having nice websites for their theatre companies, and a lot of them use those definitely to list their productions, and then also you can see where those productions have been as well. Usually, if they've got some clear info on their website, so it's also worth looking at where they've been, and then maybe searching through the show name and where they've been to see if there's other resources from past festivals or things like that.
Absolutely. And they all, like, again, like putting all of that really good quality information, because, you know, essentially we just want to make sure our reviews are as informative as possible, for, you know, the benefit of the artists themselves, the event that's kind of running, coordinating things for them, and then giving your insight from your very own unique point of view. Grace says, as a reviewer, contact the organisers. Nice. Great. So yeah, I think you've got that point. That's brilliant. How are you keeping hold? I mean, this is like, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but how have you been like keeping hold of the information you're gathering and recording down the, you know, things that come to you? Have you got anything with, go on?
Yeah, no, I just write everything in a little notebook. So I have hundreds of different notebooks for different things. And then one thing I'm obsessed with is Notion, which is like this, I'm sure, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's just like an amazing organizing thing, which I use for other work. And I've just like come to use it for everything. And it's so good. And I recommend it to everyone. And that's for, like,
I'm a recent convert.
Oh my goodness.
It's very good.
Changed my life.
All right, let's talk about Notion for a minute, because I'm intrigued.
Yeah, is this an app or something?
You can get it as an app, you can get it as a desktop.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, it just syncs. It's like a notation app, but it's really easy, and it syncs across like all your devices and stuff like that.
One tool for your whole team. I think I found, right, I'm going to post something that on this thing that I think is it. Elsa, please tell us if that is it. Is that it?
Sorry, it's just loading. Correct.
Okay, cool.
It's
so
amazing.
Go on.
And there are lots of templates which you can take advantage of. It's a bit weird at first because you have to kind of get used to it and get familiar with it, but it's honestly changed my life. So having that is like really helpful to organize my thoughts and put resources in place. And you can kind of create cards. So for different things I've seen, I can be like, okay, well, these are the resources that have helped me out with this one, to inform my review or whatever.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge y'all in being a reviewer. How could a tool like Notion, in what way could you use it and get the best benefits out of it? I think everyone's just browsing going, oh yeah, this looks really good.
I think just like the way I use it is just collecting resources and not discounting anything, and just taking all the information I can from different spaces, whilst remaining original, because I think that's a really easy thing. Like, it's really lovely having influence and being informed by other people, but it's also for me like remembering that I have my own voice and trusting that.
It also got like scheduling benefits. I'm just thinking as well, like, this is something we need to explore a little bit more.
I don't know, Cameron, do you know if it has schedules? I think you can have a calendar.
I believe you can, or you can use it for like project things. So it could be interesting to have a group for that, and you're able to. It's good, really good with like linking and like getting linking like or like emails or websites and things, and like putting them into stuff like that. So potentially ticket confirmation emails for your comps or things like that. It's yeah, you can. It's got lots of different sort of.
Okay, so we could make use of apps in that way. Cool. I'm sorry, I'm just a bit obsessed. I'm gonna have to get rid of that now because I'll just end up not focusing in on that. Also, Cameron, just to add, there's another participant. She's I think she's finishing college. She says she'll be joining us like shortly. She's just, yeah. So if you get another kind of
I'll keep
thing
an
like
eye
invite
on the waiting room.
Yeah, let her in. So notebook and pen, an app that works across your phone or other device and stuff like that. I think, yeah, I mean, it's not really a rocket science question really, but there's part, like, again, teachable moment. Have something to hand available that you can take notes as you go along, as you're watching something. It'd be amazing how much stuff will just fly out of your head, or that you really want to kind of build on, or it's like an initial response to something that you think, oh, I want to unpick that a bit more, I want to know more about what that was, or it's just so handy to have something available to I would call it like a support aid, essentially. I think we might have lost Grace. See if she can come back. But, okay, cool. So they asked questions. So it was an interview format piece that we just watched, where the questions were like flashed up onto the screen, and then, hi Grace. They were flashed up onto the screen, and then they would show a little bit of dialogue about them answering the question. Was there any other questions you felt like you wanted to ask them?
Not so far.
Not so far. Okie dokie. Anyone else?
I don't know if it was just because like what they were saying about it being like the first of its kind, but I still felt like I wanted some more like information on like actually how it takes place.
So more info, yeah.
And that, like, I get what they were saying about the 360 technology and all that stuff, but like just to be like, oh, you click on a link and then you sit, like, I'm still very confused about how it actually works.
Do you think that is by design, or yeah? Okay. And what about, I mean, you can sit in two camps with like thinking about like if you're crafting an interview for like someone, think about your own interest, but also think about the audience. Is there anything else for the audience that you think they need to know?
Ages, maybe, like who would be interested in this kind of thing, like what age range?
Age range. Okie dokie. Good. Yeah, and that's with like the whole accessibility thing, isn't it? Well, accessibility and suitability.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Grace is having some troubles, so hopefully she can join us a bit later on. I think as long as we can invite her to the 7 p.m. catch up as well today. That might be better for her. Cool. Okay. So, how does it feel like sharing your thoughts on the kind of very small bit of content that we've looked at today? Poppy Shepherd, amazing. Admit. Okay, all good. Hey Poppy.
Hi.
welcome. We are just going through some bits. If you can, I'm not sure, can you see the chat, and can you see all of the stuff that's been posted in the chat?
I can see the chat, but there's nothing there.
Okay, cool. Okie dokie. So what I'll do is just we're going to continue with the discussion. I'm just going to send you some links. I just want you to have a quick browse through. Sorry, everyone. It's the Voice website, which is the platform you'll be using as a young reviewer. And then we've got the Brighton Fringe website, where there's the theatre company Petrichor, and watch the video on that. And then, yeah, join back in. I don't want you missing out too much. So, yeah. Look at those. Okay, cool. So where I was asking a question. Can't remember what it was. We were talking about what sort of things you need to ask, or what sort of things you might need to bear in mind, so like from your own interest point of view. Is there anything that you thought you wanted more to know about which is fine. You know, I think it just highlights who you are as a person and the kind of things that kind of pull you in and that, you know, you're interested in, to inform the way that you write about them. Okay, how are we all feeling? I know Poppy's just joined and might need a few minutes just to catch up with some of the content and to share any views, if any at all. Do you want like 5 minutes just to not be in front of the screen, get up, move around, get a drink, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so go do that. So it's about 10 to 3 now, so 5 minutes, is that okay, Cameron?
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. Okay. I'm not going to give you anything to go away and think about. I just want you to come back, you know, kind of refreshed, and then we'll just kind of have a very quick review. I also, Poppy, one thing that we just did very quickly was that we went through this thing that is new, but Elsa and Cameron were very, very informative about it. It's called Notion. Here you go. And it's like a sharing platform for all of your like, it's like, I just think it's like a massive kind of like really intuitive like organizer. Can set it up to do lots of different things, take notes, save documents, pull resources together. And that was around our discussions on when you are reviewing something, where are you finding out additional information in order to inform your piece of writing or your whatever form your review takes. We'll get onto that. So are you reaching out to the artists themselves or the organizers? Are you picking up a program to see what information you can pull from there? Are you Googling? Are you watching YouTube? You know, how are you sort of like building up your knowledge of the things that is you're writing a piece on? I say write, we don't always have to write. And then yeah, this thing of Notion got recommended, so I just thought, why not bring that into the mixture as well for people to formulate their own opinion on. So it might be a useful tool. And is it it's shareable, I think, through lots of different devices. So you can have it on your phone and your laptop and stuff. Yeah, Cameron's nodding. Okay. Cool. So that is where we are at. This next part of the session, I want to focus on the components of writing a review. So I've got a list of things in front of me, and I just want to have a discussion about what each of those means, and that is from what they mean from your point of view. And then we'll have a go at structuring. So I'm going to make you work hard. So what do I mean when I say what's the component of a review? What does that mean?
I think part of it is like giving an incentive for people to watch it or experience it in the future. Probably like connecting an audience with the art. Yeah, trying to think. But in terms of like components of the review, I suppose the who, what, when, where, how, why, and also just, I suppose, just like a narrative or like introducing what you're talking about, why you're talking about it, what you benefited from, what you maybe could see improvements on, and then ending with a conclusive statement on why you think it was what you thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the incentive, the connections, the way that, so there's things that you're using in order to kind of, you're really considering like how you're shaping something, and that's really good. What else springs to mind when we think of the components of a review? What sort of things are you going to try and do?
I guess you speak a little bit like how you individually like interacted with it, in that like for you, like what you brought away from the experience.
Mm-hmm. So any kind of like take home messages?
Yeah.
Lovely. How are you going to do that? I just run through my list and we'll just talk about what each of these things mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 1, art forms. What are they?
I suppose just like the medium how some art is presented to you or how you experience it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Give me some examples. What's an example of an art form?
Maybe like, well, dance, audio,
Mm-hmm.
augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality.
Yeah.
Film, theatre, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just think back to when you introduced yourself and you said 3 things. I mean, that's why I say so 3 things that are interested you from like arts or culture. It's like you're already naming art forms, even if you don't know them as art forms. So I think like you can confirm for yourself, you all know what an art form is. What do I mean by styling?
Is styling in general just like the way in which it's done? That's the way I consider it.
Go ahead, go deeper with that. The way in which it's done.
The way in which someone, I guess, if you're talking about art forms as well, the way in which the art form's used to get the message across, the way it's done, or something like that.
So it could be something behind a method, or think what in terms of visually, what does that bring into your mind?
Could it be like with like dance, there's like commercial and like hip hop, that kind of like styling? Or like
Could
with
be,
like that reviewer saying with like the theatre with like two-hander and that there was like 2 people involved.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's a way of like further describing something, and feel free to pull on descriptive words, but also references, like as you say within dance, you know, is it kind of like commercial or this or that? It's just anything to kind of breed a sense of, I think, familiarity for others. So if I read that, I might think, oh, I understand it because they described it to me in this way. Components. How could technology be a component? I'm really making you think, aren't I?
I guess nowadays with technology, you've got to consider the fact that not everything can be done like face to face. Therefore, like tech being used more, probably videos are probably used more now, and technology is probably used a lot more, considering that you can't be with someone or in the place face to face. So the way in which that's used in different ways, I guess.
Yeah, sorry if I go quiet, it's because I'm thinking about what's just being. I do that a lot. It's weird when I'm on the phone because it literally just it's like a dead line. So at least you can see me. Yeah. Anything else on technology? How would you write about that as like a component?
Could you say how like well they've used technology?
If they have used it well.
Yeah.
If your opinion is that, sure.
Yeah.
What about just, I mean, like this is what I mean, like you're so bright, all of you. What about just naming if there is tech being used?
Maybe just like not using too much jargon or like anything that's too inaccessible. I mean, even jargon is like, what's that? Like words that aren't particularly accessible for your audience. Like you're trying to get people to experience art, you're going to alienate them if you use long words.
Yeah, be careful with jargon, definitely. And acronyms. At least write it out once fully and then put an acronym in. That's a definite yes, please. But even technology, just like things of, you know, audio, sound, video, VR, like all these different things, well, like different kind of ways of if there is like technology actually included in the piece, describe it in the simplest way possible. Movement. What do we mean by movement?
I guess in simple terms, it's just the way in which movement could be used and what that displays, or just simply how it's used, or if it's used in what way. I mean, probably is always going to be used, but in how that's used and what it displays.
Yeah, think of movements between people, depending on, you know, if you've already highlighted what particular art forms, if, you know, if it kind of fits into any, if not, discuss the blends that you see, but movement, is it in terms of like movement within people or bodies or staging, how, you know, lights, I mean, anything essentially could move. So to reference it in that way, just because consider it from that point of view. Characters. What's a character? Starting to think I might have overcomplicated this task. So let me ask it in a different way. Would you inform your audience about characters in your review?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like how you relate to people and characters in the performance, and what kind of things you want people to connect to as well, and what resonates with you, and how you think that will translate into a wider audience.
Yeah, especially to do with like people, or even if like something's kind of like referenced as a character, you're picking out things like what are you literally observing, the way that they're dressed or how they speak, what's the story behind who they are and the things that they're trying to communicate, anything that's kind of offering a little bit of explanation, to give someone like an insight or window into like what the piece is about. I have other things written down here like space. That one's a little bit more conceptual. I think perhaps as we go on in the project, if we see something in it, we can discuss that then. A component of a review, like your personal experience. If you can't answer this, then we need to start again. Why is your personal experience important?
I suppose just like as a reviewer, you want to get your voice across and you want to have your experience as something that's relevant and something that's informed your piece, and how that will interact, how people will interact with your work, and that how that influences what they'll experience as well. To some extent. I don't know.
Totally.
Okay.
Anyone else? Why is your personal experience so important?
I guess a review, like, fundamentally is based off your personal experience. The way in which you'll take that piece and the way you view it is probably based from your personal experience. Therefore, people may not have the same view, but at least you're getting your viewpoint across, and that can be why you interpret that piece differently to other people, perhaps.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, it's essentially like the voice mag. That is our ethos. It's your voice. Cool. So hopefully, like, if you have taken some notes, fabulous. If not, don't worry. I'll just keep like drilling these into you until they're just kind of like, oh, I need to remember to think about this or this or this. So we have viewed some things, we've registered our initial responses, we've discussed where you can find out additional information, and then looked at some of the components on things, just points and topics, or just points of interest that you might want to focus in on if they are relevant to what you're talking about. How do you feel about actually creating like a few like paragraphs or sentences around what we've seen today? You up for it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so Petrichor, let's look at, what do you want to do it on? Because I'll need to catch Poppy up because I didn't share the interview. Do you want to do it on the like 3-minute interview, or the promo video, or do you want to do it on both?
I feel like the video could be more fun. Like this, I've got more to say probably.
Okay. Everyone else thinking?
Yeah, that suits me.
Okie dokie. Do you want a minute to rewatch and refresh in your mind?
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Cool. All right, take a minute for yourself then. Just let me know when you're all back.
It's interesting talking about accessibility. I can get sucked into. I'm a stat man. I enjoy a number or two, but I can get sucked into the Office of National Statistics website quite a lot. But I was just looking at their internet. They've got a thing about UK internet usage, and it's interesting. Where's this number? Over 10 million. In 2019 it was over 10 million disabled adults where those had access to the internet, which was, it crossed the 10 million threshold in 2009, which makes up 78% of disabled adults in the UK. So when you were just talking about how the accessibility of the internet, I thought quite interesting.
That is really interesting, like 10 million. So in terms of, I suppose, more people having access to, like, yeah, that kind of blows my mind a little bit on things that once were possible suddenly become possible. That's really from like a point of view, especially to do with like petrichor, you know, and if, you know, if there's like the value of doing something digitally and online, then that is like, I would consider putting that as, you know, in a review, because that is very, very interesting information. And what does that mean for the future of like the way that we engage and interact with things on a creative base. Wow, 78%, that's high. Do feel free to share that link if there was one that you found, Cameron, in the chat with everyone. Just waiting for it. Is everyone back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, I'm here.
It's just Elsa and Augusto. So just have a moment in your mind. You might want to just note this down. We will get on to like the kind of practicalities on being a reviewer later on. But the fact that you've just had you know, a few minutes kind of as like a refresher to be able to like review the content. Obviously there's just a lot more benefits in watching things online, because you might be able to access it at a later date. A live show is a different kettle of fish, because it's kind of like you see it once and then it's over. So just in your mind, just think about, you know, how you retain that information if you are using a note-taking app, or you've got a pen and a bit of paper. Yeah, because recall can be hard. Or actually, no, if you are, then like, are you allowing yourself the time to then go and look things up online and just think about, you know, in terms of like, to know the management side of it, I guess, for yourself. But if everyone is back, Augusto, Elsa.
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Augusto.
I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah,
Lovely. Okie dokie. Okay, so with the clip on the Fringe website, how are you? I want you all to write down, but if you don't want to write, that's fine, you can just say it and I'll try and scribe. How would you introduce that piece of work, that the petrichor piece of work that's in the you've tested my memory now. Yeah, petrichor. So how are you going to introduce petrichor? One sentence. Once you've written it down, feel free to share. And consider in your mind, this might be a good point. Or the end might be good, but at what point are you going to include in like the core kind of information, informative bits on like who they are, what you went to see, where was it, like timings, like date is really important, and also capturing your audience. How are you going to, like, you know, what's that hook line, how are you going to intrigue them into want to read on? So yeah, I'll give you some time, then we can come back together and I want to see what you've all come up with. And expansive. Why are we ignoring the above, Elsa?
I don't know. I put it in the wrong place, but that was what I was working from.
Okay, I think keep it. You know, it's like a choppy thing, because it's descriptive. It's I'm going to read it out. An expansive and immersive digital experience challenging reality and dystopia. So good, clear, descriptive words being used. It's not too meaty as a sentence. Remember, we looked at that Guardian quote and you're all very positive, and there was me going, oh, there's a lot, but ultimately it was quite good. Challenging reality and dystopia. Gives me a window in. there are some key buzzwords that I think, oh, that's intriguing. Maybe work on how you're going to build in some of those, like, you know, like the facts, essentially, the 5, you know, who, what, where, why, when, I think, at the beginning, if that feels right for you to do. If not, you can do it at the end, but we'll get there. How's everyone else getting on?
I've
Okay.
written like 3 words.
What have you got?
No, it's actually trash.
Share. This is what this is. We're a think tank. I don't know. Is that the right word? We're spewing out ideas. Share.
Petrichor is a blend of contemporary theatre and innovative virtual reality that offers a dynamic sensory experience utilizing video and sound. And I was going to go somewhere with that.
Okay. What's the insecurity about? What doesn't feel right about that?
I don't know. I hate sharing writing. I think because it's so like personal, like you're writing, and it's like, if people think it's rubbish, then it's like, oof, that hurts.
Read it again.
Petrichor is a blend of contemporary theatre and innovative virtual reality that offers a dynamic sensory experience utilizing video and sound into a, I don't know, comment on like society or something.
I think it's great. I think it's just you're really, it's a bit like with Elsa, and Elsa's given us a window into like what sort of things we can expect on, you know, the immersive, digital, there's challenging, a few kind of hints on like the themes of like the piece as well. And you're using words like it's a blend, it's innovation, you know. I think it's really, really clear and good. We've got down here, I think, well, maybe like, could you, I mean, we're all in this together as well, so how would you sort of complete that sentence? What do you feel is missing, or what could you do to tie it back in? Remember, it's a review. We have to be using these descriptions and inciting interest, but also providing information.
I think maybe saying something like being a bit of like a social commentary, because I think that's like an important part of the piece. Clearly it's got something to say.
Yeah, so do I fully agree with you there. But that's the sort of, as a reader, I'd want you to maybe pick out that as one of your key components and then expand on that in your review. Can you add in just, it was part of Brighton Fringe 2021 in, you know, name the venue,
yeah,
you know, that kind of thing? Would that be a way of, I don't know, you might have to just write it out and see how it sits next to what you've already got, and then call it a day on your introduction. But it's good. Does anyone else want to share? Also, how the show must and can go on. Oh, Augusto. Okay. Do you know what? I'm seeing a lovely way of ending. I'm seeing an ending in there. With that, what you said about how the show must and can go on. That would be a lovely way to pull some things together. So park that, keep that. Is everyone else all right? Got something written down? Don't necessarily have to share. But if you are coming on board for the Voice Reviewers Project, I might bug you for sharing anyway, but I'll be kind today. Okay, so is everyone, yeah, everyone's got a little introduction?
Yeah.
I will just take that as a yes. Yes, sorry, it's because I can't see you. Like, I would love to see you like nodding and stuff. I'm not encouraging you to put your cameras on if you don't want to, that's fine. Okay, middle. So looking back into some of the components that we have touched on today, art forms, technology, movements, characters, the space they're in. I think, what time are we at? 3:20. Okay, maybe pick like 2 or 3 that really jumped out to you. Think back to your initial responses with Lucy saying like, oh, that looks sick, and you know, all these sort of things, and then you brought out words like immersive, attacking the senses, it looks political and fun. You know, go back to those initial responses that you had and try and craft a couple of sentences and see if you can pull in a, you know, those that kind of component element to it, because you are talking about themes, you are talking about just points of interest, and you are talking about things that are relevant to the piece. So yeah, I have a couple more minutes. Probably set a timer because I don't really have any concept of how long you've had. But yeah, when you've got something, do please post it in the chat box so we can have a read, or feel free to read it out. Don't worry if it's starting to feel like quite intense, like I am pushing you to do it fast.
How does it work with because so on their like page it says the words that muted, managed, and monochrome, like that's really nice. Like how can you use that in your review? And like I don't know, yeah.
Let me ask you, what comes to your mind when you think of, was it muted, managed, and where are you seeing this?
On like the Brighton Fringe page for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What springs to your mind?
What, when I read those words?
Mm-hmm.
I think they just sound nice too. I can't remember what it's called when they all start with the same letter, but I really like that. I like when they have like lists of 3 words together of like
it's alliteration.
There's a flow there, isn't there? And
Yeah.
there's a sense of like, if something kind of feels yeah, there is something about the 3. I do agree from there. So are you considering this from a structural point of view as a reviewer? Like, am I finding 3 descriptive words, or am I keeping to like specific way of describing something, or or is it like what the meaning behind the words and what that means for the piece?
Interesting.
Mm.
Think about that.
Because what you could do is that you could ruminate with the words muted, managed, monochrome. For me, muted is that something's a bit stripped back. It's kind of, it's dulled down in a way, or it's quieter, but it's managed. So there's a sense of perhaps something's been well looked after, or it's been incredibly well polished and had taken, you know, time and supported in a way. And monochrome is just kind of, you know, again, monochrome for me is actually, there's something kind of like empty about it.
Yeah.
But you know, it maybe gives me an expectation as to like the visual like reception of what I'm going to have thrown over me almost. So you could go into your own understanding of those words and annotate them as to, you know, where we spoke at the beginning of like, you know, how is this meeting our expectations? What do we think we can expect from going to see this piece of work? Because obviously we would be seeing the piece of work, but we're only using the kind of promo. It's your choice, honestly. It's whatever feels right for you, either looking at it from a very kind of descriptive and analytical kind of way, or do you just like how they've used the rule of 3 and kept similar letters? You know, consider that as a way of you, like a technique, I suppose.
Could I use those words and like say as a quotation and comment how they're portrayed through the like trailer, I guess?
Totally. I think as long as you are, I mean, we'll get onto this, as you know, this is part of the ending where I think we just need to have a nod and acknowledgement on the sources that you've used. So I would be referencing the website that I've made, that I've accessed, or any pictures, you know, if you've taken them yourself, then obviously like you have to credit like the artists. So there's the kind of, again, like the practicality side of it. But yeah, absolutely. I think as long as it is in quotations and then you've got the link to where that was used from, yeah, go for it. How's everyone else doing? Any other questions? Is anyone at the point where they've got a couple of things to share? This is the fun side when you do it online, because if you're in a room, you can kind of be wig in and look at what the people are doing. For all I know, you've just all gone and made yourself a cup of tea. It's like, haha, she thinks we're doing work, we're doing nothing. Poppy, how are you getting on?
I was just typing it in the chat as we speak.
Oh, I wondered if that's what y'all were doing.
Yes.
Okay, patience, Alice, my word. Okay, Elsa. Virtual reality. Elsa, do you want to read out yourself? I'm bored of my voice.
Okay. So virtual reality forms a progressive, thought through and considered vision, a method of achieving innovation without interrogation. Petrichor is marking a pivotal stage in our technological reboot, where theatre meets thought and stage meets society. Thanks.
Wow.
Very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Talk us through it.
So I wanted to consider the art form, which is virtual reality. And I like what Lucy and Poppy were saying about alliteration and using those kind of literary tools of engaging with the reader. So interrogation and innovation, and then theatre meets thought, stage meets society just sounds quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just wanted to think about technology and what it's interrogating society. So yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really like the end part of it.
Totally.
That's so sick.
It's what you've done quite successfully here, Elsa, is that you have done, when we looked at when we did that bit of, I say training, like this I can relate back. When we looked at it from our own our personal responses and all that sort of stuff, and then like other kind of like more kind of factual information that you've pulled in, I get a sense of who you are as a person, like the things that you've chosen to communicate about kind of lets me into a little bit of like the way that you see it and the things that are interesting from your point of view. So I would follow up with something on actually no, we'll get to that point. I would give more of an insight into your own personal viewpoints and maybe expand on like what does virtual reality like as a passion of yours, or and also feel free at any point to like reference in if works remind you of anything else you might have seen or looked into beforehand. Just be careful with saying kind of like, oh, it's very this, but you might liken it to the works of another person to give just more of like a flavor of like what so feel free to do that. Just be careful if you are going to bring that into like your own personal thing, that make sure it kind of is explained, if that makes sense. I know Poppy's typing. Augusto, did you have anything you'd like to share at this stage?
I'm just thinking about it and read about the Petrichor. So
okay.
I don't know yet.
Okay, cool. What I would like is, okay, here we go. Here's Poppy.
I didn't proofread that, so there's a chance there could be a mistake.
Okay, read it. Let us listen. Read it out to us.
Okay, the embrace of modern day digital culture combined with the story of an emotionless dystopia offers a subtle dig at modern day lifestyle. The performance is advertised as muted, managed and monochrome, implying a sense of dullness, yet a series of grotesque movements and unhinged images suggests that this is a comment on the society and therefore our society rather than the performance itself.
I need another round of applause. Wow, that's just really, really good, in-depth. Oh man, so I'm just reading it over again. I really
there's a
like.
lot to chew on.
Yeah, that really is. The embrace of modern day digital culture combined. Yeah, talk us through your thought process behind your piece.
Well, and when I watched the thing, I wrote some notes down, and I initially just had the fact that obviously the digital element of it, and then the fact that it was telling a story of, like, it was negative because it didn't have emotions. Therefore, I could just connect the two to display like society, perhaps, because obviously both are becoming more present. And then I saw, obviously I took the quote, I think Lucy said it, the muted manager monochrome, and I thought that was quite, obviously the thing wasn't quite, I wouldn't say it was managed, because the movement seemed quite manic. Yeah. And then I just connected that to probably the societal, I think that's a word, element of it.
And in a way, like the way that you've written it as well, like you are giving more of an insight into what your understanding of what you've seen is. So with Elsa's, it's a very nice way of kind of contextualizing and framing what is part of petrichor. And then what you have done is provide a couple of examples on, I saw this and that to me suggests this. So it's this kind of like you're making an observation on what you've seen and then providing an explanation from your own point of view. And that's a learning point for everyone, really. Frame it as we've seen in Elsa's contribution today, and then with Poppy's more sort of like, you know, just gone in that little bit deeper and tried to kind of work through some ways of like unpicking what she has seen, is really, really great. And I think you can all do that. Please all do that. So this is it's kind of a lot of the way I work as well. I want you to learn from each other. Lovely. So how if you are still writing on your, what I call your middle, like what the components that have jumped out to you and the things that you want to unpick a little bit more in detail, then that's brilliant. Just think about your ending. How would you, I mean, Augusto, you posted like a bit about how the show must and can go on. So expand on what that is and what you've seen in petrichor that makes you think that. But think of how you might draw it all together, and what is, you know, ultimately from a reviewer's point of view, we want to be providing a window into what we've seen or been a part of. But also like give your like personal viewpoint and then provide further information. Positive sharing experience. And I would love, I mean, voice is all about, you know, getting your voice out there and encouraging engagement. So for me, it's kind of fundamental that you are providing that like essential information on, this is, the tickets are available here at this website. It's on for, you know, the Brighton Fringe 28th of May until end of June. Should have that date in my head, shouldn't I? Yeah. So give, you know, reference those, you know, just like the key parts of like information, put that in there. So have a little think about what feels right for you on how to end your piece. And also, whilst you are just sort of, you know, pulling some thoughts together as well, don't overthink it. It could just be a sentence starting with "for me" and then explain your own opinion. Or it might just be, you can find out more information here. Blah, 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 list. I think it just can be quite broad. Sorry, my dog keeps knocking my little table thing. Sorry if it keeps wobbling. You all right?
I know this isn't what we're talking about, but what dog do you have?
Chihuahua York. See if I can bring them in. Come here. Great. I wonder if I can plug in. Come. All right. I'll see if he comes back up. Yeah, he's a Chihuahua Yorkshire Terrier, and extremely energetic. Apart from when he falls asleep, it gets in the way a lot. Sorry, such a distraction. Yeah, have a think about your endings, how you're going to draw it to a close. You've introduced it, given a window, and a bit of enticement. Is that even a word? I'm supposed to be a reviewer and I don't know words. You've drawn your audience in. You've given them a little bit of what it's all about. And now you're going to draw it to a close. An open-ended close, I suppose. What am I going to do? Last year. Sorry, I shouldn't mutter to myself, really, should I, unless I'm muted. What I am going to do is just quickly save, just cut and paste the bits on what you've posted in, because we will talk very quickly about editing. How you're getting on? Okay, drawing that to a close. Has anyone got anything they'd like to share? Lovely Augusto. Here's the dog. It's very funny looking.
What's her name?
Oh my god, it's
He's
so
so
cute.
weird. It's a he. He's called Odin.
Oh, oh my god, that's adorable.
What was his name, sorry?
Odin.
Oh.
Okay, so we have Augusto, how the arts got to keep renovating of times of lockdown. When you got to follow social distance, you can access digital platforms performance. It's the way we have to adapt. Yeah, and I think that's a real window into, I would say that's like, it's a commentary on like the artists, just like creative decisions. You've found a way of making it quite current as to what, I don't know, very, very strange way of existing we've all been kind of placed into over this last year in a bit. And yeah, it's what I like about that, Augusto, is how you're bringing their creative influence and the thing that they have made into a very kind of like real life perspective. So well done. Okay, so we have Lucy to everyone. Do you want to read it out, Lucy?
I can.
It's good that you can. Don't feel like you have to. We've taught and we discussed your beginning bit, so maybe just go. Can you go from the sentence that you are transported to?
Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
You're transported to the dystopian world created by Johnny Riordan and Jess Williams, in which two people are starting to bring colour to a muted and chromatic society. Reminiscent of Orwell's 1984, the performance challenges the controlling suffocation of modern life's ever-watchful eye, and in line with previous Matchbox productions, it promises to provoke further thought well after the 30-minute runtime. This online event is an early contribution to the 2021 Brighton Fringe Festival, showing daily from the 20th of May to the 27th of June. Tickets are £8 and suitable for ages 13 plus, however there are content warnings viewable from the link below.
Banging. So informative, really, really detailed. That is great, to be honest. That exceeds the information that I think it's lovely that you have been so informative to your reader, that you've explained, you know, the dates, how much it is, where they can find out the information, and given a bit of consideration as to, you know, as we said before, like age ranges and who it suits, suitability. Yeah, that gives me a bit of a window as to who you are as a creator as well, and the type of things that you think other people need to be in the know about. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
I really like the line.
What I am doing is I am copying. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the line about
okay,
the after the 30-minute runtime. I think that's, yeah.
Thanks.
For me as a reader, what I'm getting from this, what I'm kind of like sneakily doing is I'm creating a group review from all of us. And then I'm in two minds about whether to make an actual voice, like a project kind of page on voice, and we can use this as our first kind of example, as like a group piece. So I am being kind of sneaky behind the scenes. But yeah, Elsa presents an example, expansive. Yep, I like the beginning bit. The ending, for me, the performance draws on the very best of 20th century digital. Ideal, absolutely ideal. It's informative. You've given a window into where you're at with it. I know what I'm really liking from all of you so far is that I, as a reader, I know what I would potentially be signing myself up to if I was to then go and see this piece myself, or if I wanted to tell someone else about it. Because we have to bear in mind that we do reviews for people who we want to encourage to go out and see it for themselves, but we also might consider that some people might not be able to attend for many different reasons. So it's about giving enough information away so someone kind of feels like they've got a sense of what it was like, and what the piece is about, but also not too much that you're spoiling everything and and giving away loads of all, if there's surprise moments, allude to that in your writing, but don't kind of say what the surprises are, all that kind of stuff as well. Really lovely stuff. Feel free to just keep posting in the chat more if you've got anything more to kind of contribute that you have been working on. If not, just keep it for yourself, your own notes, that's fine. I just want to quickly talk to you about, first of all, ask you a question. How was that as an exercise? How do you feel?
Yeah, it was a challenge actually. But it's I think it's actually really helpful to have that really short deadline and just being like, right, you've just got to come up with something right now. Because I think otherwise I get in my head and I get overwhelmed, and it's actually really helpful to just be like, you just got to do it right now. Because I know like I think we're all capable of writing something on the chop. Oh, what's the word? Like on the hoof? I don't know, but like really immediately.
Off the cuff, is it that?
That's the one. Thank you. Off the cuff, and just trusting that that I have the resources to do it. But yeah, it's really helpful. Thank you.
You're probably learning that maybe you do just need to take I think we all have a bit of imposter syndrome. We might have some emotional responses going on. I'm the same as well, and I will take it into my head and I'll panic and I will like overthink, and then that will just come across in the work that I do, and I'll miss something. So actually, if you might be learning about yourself as a I don't know, as like a professional in the way that you write, it's just like set yourself a timer, 1 minute, get my introduction down, and then just like repeat that process. So actually, if that's something that you are learning about yourself along that process, and that's great. I'm happy that you're discovering more about who you are as a creative. That's lovely. Everyone else feeling all right?
Yeah, that was really helpful.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, I really liked being able to read everyone else's as well, because it helped when I was overthinking, when it came to the end bit, I was overthinking it. It really helped to be able to see everyone else's thoughts, and then helped me realize that it's more straightforward than I was thinking it was.
Yeah, and I think that's how we're going to roll with the Young Reviewers Project, to be honest, because you're all going to be good teachers for each other as well as yourselves and me. But I think and I do want you to kind of recognise the existing strengths that you all do have, and have a little bit of support where you feel that you need it. So yeah, we will probably do this format quite often. At least I'm hoping weekly, that we'll have some examples of content and then have a discussion like we've done today, and then maybe create a review. But I hope at the end of the week 6 that actually we might not need to do it so much as a group, that you might have a go at creating a whole piece by yourself and then reflect on it with me, or also I'm posted to Tom, our editor in the Voice Mag. Yeah, we'll just see how that all goes. So a very quick chat just about some of the very kind of, well, I don't even know what to call them, like the things that you would need to think about when you are either watching, let's look at digital first. What sort of things would you need to make sure you have available to you if you're watching something online? Really, really practical stuff. Don't overthink this.
Keyboard,
Yeah.
glass of water,
Yes.
tea,
Headphones.
and
Headphones.
headphones, yeah. Mute button, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, somewhere comfortable, somewhere that is you might not be disturbed. Yeah, just make it as a smoother process as possible, depending on the length of the piece, depending what it is that you're, you know, and then bring your note taking, your chosen note taking mechanism with you, like your pad and paper or your, what's it called? Learned something today and I've forgotten it. Notion, you know, all of that. Just have everything ready and available to hand. So yeah, and I think actually, no, Augusto, I think with you doing some of the digital stuff for the Fringe, I'd be interesting to have your feedback on what else you found helpful throughout this journey, like doing it from like in Brazil. What has that been like? So I'd love to know along the way when it is all kind of up and running. In terms of going to see something live, what sort of things do we need to think about?
Well, I was going to ask about this actually, because I was like, it's probably polite to write down rather than use a tippy tappy computer. But I don't know what like the etiquette is, or like, because obviously it's much easier if you can just like spin off a load of writing on a computer, but probably in terms of being respectful, also darkness. How does it work?
I think there is, I mean, it's great that you're building it into your self-awareness. How am I coming across to others? I do think it's incredibly obnoxious if you are in a dark theatre or cinema and you've got like a bright screen and, you know, kind of tapping away. There is an exercise that you can do. It's from a book, I can't remember who it's by, but it's called Writing on Both Sides of the Brain. And actually one of the practice exercises is to have a pen and a bit of paper and write down anything, but don't look at the piece of paper. And that the point is that actually things might just pop into your head, but you don't necessarily have to look at what you're doing to know that you've written it down. And it might be a bit scribbled or a bit messy, but mostly, like, even when we kind of do like blind writing, it is legible. So that's a skill to perhaps practice in a little bit of your free time, if any of us have free time, to just to get used to, like, you don't necessarily have to be looking down at what you're writing, but you can still take some notes like during. But another thing I would advise is that straight away after any kind of like initial things that come in, just have 5 minutes, you know, as soon as you've left that auditorium or stepped out. I mean, I know the Warren has, you know, they're like makeshift theatres where it's like shipping containers and stuff. So as soon as you're outside in a more public space, you know, just write down a couple of key points, notes, things like that. But yeah, we will kind of delve further into the etiquette of being a reviewer, but try not to annoy other people. So yeah, that's that. What else do you need to think about when you go to see something live?
Would you, this is honestly a guess, could you look up the play before you go to get further context, or is that more an after thing?
Whatever feels right for you. This is what I love about reviews. You'll learn about yourself, but are you how much do you feel like you want to know before you go to the piece? And I think I've just had an idea of a local artist that I might introduce you lot to, because she's all about not doing any prior research, just rocking up and seeing what happens and then taking the experience away with you. So kind of a side note, but more of like a planning note for me. So whatever feels right for you. I wanted you to all shout out things like you've said about the computer. I think it's just a window into how we've all been online for a year. It's like you're thinking of like, I need to be comfortable, I need to bring water, I need all this. You're gonna need to consider these things when you're out and about as well, especially if you're like catching a train and then you've got to walk to the venue. Like, have you got comfortable shoes, a coat, just things like that. Just make sure that you are kind of like looking after yourself when you're out and about. And there's guidance and help on the Voice website that I can signpost you to, but also in terms of safety, like who knows where you're going? Who on planet Earth have you told I'm going out at this time, I will be home at this time. What, you know, do you have numbers of people you can call in your phone if you're going out independently? And if you need help, can you get help? It's all kind of, it's thinking about your own kind of personal safety and the safety of others. Remembering, you know, if you're, I don't know, if you're diabetic, then have you got your medications that you need? It's all these sort of things as well. Just make sure that you are looking after yourself when you are doing these things. And I think what we'll do is just draw all that in together, because I think as soon as our plan, Cameron did tell me, do you want to explain a bit about that, Cameron, like this, the kind of like reviewer sign up process through
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, go for it now.
Yeah, sure. A note on something else you were saying as well is I'd say timekeeping as well is something that's very important.
Totally.
When visiting events, I can say in Edinburgh, the amount of there are a few times where I was sat at the back of a small room sweating after having a very, very fast walk across town to get to the show, and you know, not quite being in that element to start watching something. But yeah, so definitely being on time. But yeah, in terms of the way that the way that press and media work with Brighton Fringe, I realised also as well in the beginning I didn't actually explain what Brighton Fringe is, and that's something that's quite common.
We touched on it last week. We did a bit of
exactly. So I think it's good to know that it's like we don't program like these events. We don't tell them to come and turn up. It's companies and venues that want to take part or want to present something that then go through a registration process and sign up to. So yeah, it's a lot of sort of like self like site like registration through that thing, and part of the registration process is they can opt into wanting to offer either press or arts industry complimentary tickets. So then we take all of those events, and then we have a accreditation process for both press and then arts industry professionals as well. So that's like bookers, other festivals, other venues, things like that, agents and things, and then a press accreditation program for like reviewers and journalists and things like that. And so there's a short accreditation process, which is just a little form on our website, and then we once we've double checked that you're legit, we can give you access to our ticketing portal, which then you can use to book in sort of comps to shows and things like that if they're offering them. Because again, a lot of these, because it's a lot of independent companies, it is down to them on whether they wanted to offer complimentary tickets to shows. And I mean, this is probably a different discussion, but it's an interesting thing about about complimentary tickets for shows. And I know it's a big conversation that was happening in Edinburgh Fringe over the last couple of years before the sort of pandemic antics, but about sort of support and supporting shows and what just like that discussion of complimentary tickets and who it's benefiting. But I think for people who are producing reviews, I think that's beneficial to the company as well. So there are sort of reciprocal relationships with those offerings. But yeah, that's part of participant services, which is my department. That's part of our roles that we do, is managing those ticketing programs and getting that stuff booked in.
Brilliant. So key thing to take away from that, everyone, is you will have I think a degree of flexibility to book in your own time, depending on what's, you know, as Cameron's saying, like what's available for the Fringe. But please communicate with me about your plans, because I'm not having anyone face plant from exhaustion because you're seeing show after show after. Do you know what I mean? Let's build up to this slowly. Let's do the 6 weeks and just refine our skills a little bit more, and then we can look at like the realistic outcomes of what can be done in terms of your time, your life around this project. You know what I mean? It's all on the table still. And I just want to say thank you for coming today. If you have any other questions, we've got a Slack group if you are interested. I think everyone who's already registered apart from Grace, and thank you for I'll reach out to her. privately after this. But yeah, let's just have a quick, I know we've just gone past 4 o'clock, I'm sorry, but a quick kind of close. I always like to think about like the way that we're feeling about things. So yeah, how are we feeling now?
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah, positive, excited, inspired.
Looking forward to the rest of it. I actually enjoyed writing it down. I felt good when I showed everyone, which is rare.
Lovely, thank you. Augusto, any feelings?
Determinated, I would say.
Yeah, that's honest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Real
Well,
kind of
thank you.
broad. Hello. Yeah, broad ways of feeding back what's going on for all of you. So the project, we'll have a quick, should we have like a chin wag online together at 7 p.m? Might not be an hour because you've worked quite hard today. But yeah, we'll just do a little bit of a debrief. So bring questions and the project will just keep flowing along. And yeah, thanks Cameron for I guess you're hosting. Is that what you're doing?
I wouldn't say. I'd say you've done an excellent job hosting. Thank you for having this as part of our Fringe Academies.
Yeah, thanks for making it happen for all of us. It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. Really good.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have questions about Brighton Fringe, we're probably people to ask at points. I mean, we'll be in contact, I'm sure, if you're booking in tickets as well at some point. But yeah, it'll be either myself or Amy Greenwood, who's our department manager. But yeah, it's just I mean, I say department, it's 2 of us. So yeah,
welcome to the arts.
Indeed, exactly.
Cool. All right, everyone. Well done. You've just been amazing. I'll bring all of the bits that you've posted into this chat to the evening catch up, and yeah, we'll go from there. So well done. Go take a break, do something else. I'll see you all in a few hours.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.